NoDQ Galaxy, we are live for the final predictions stream of 2023. We have AEW Worlds End coming up, Long Island, New York, Nassau Coliseum, historic wrestling venue. Thank you to everybody tuning in tonight. We have a very fun panel this evening. We got the ever reliable Walter Cruz with us. We have longtime NoDQ contributor TJS, and joining us for the very first time, we have Rhonda Shane from the Up All Night with Rhonda Shane Facebook page. Very entertaining Facebook page. Check that out. So everybody, I want to get your overall thoughts on the World's End pay-per-view. How excited you are for this show on a scale of 1 to 10. Rhonda, I'm going to start with you. Ron, that's how you want to be known? Rhonda, Ron, how's it going, man?
Jimmy Cornette gave me the name. My name is Ron DeShane, and he just couldn't pronounce it. So I said it's pronounced Ron DeShane, and we stuck with that ever since. But on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited am I for World's End? Oh, 0.5. No, I'm kidding. I gotta say, you know me, I'm a big Riho fan, and absolutely that is probably the one I'm the most excited for, because I just want to see Riho get that title back. But in all seriousness, it's actually been a pretty well-staged show. Nice culmination of angles. Obviously, Tony is, as always, coming up with a few things at the last minute for us, which will be incredibly hard for us to predict. But I'm pretty excited for the show. I hope that they have a good showing. They've got a big need to have a strong showing, and I would like to see them succeed at it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, MJF said it best on Twitter. We're not wanting to see AEW fail. I think most of the fans are trying to be constructive, and they want to see AEW at its best. It's not just criticizing it for the sake of criticizing it. I think people legitimately want the best product possible. So we'll see what they come up with for World's End. TJS, how are you feeling about this show? I know you've been up and down with AEW as of late. How are you feeling about this one?
I mean, like you guys said, I want it to be good. I'm really hoping it is. I don't want AEW to fail. If I wanted AEW to fail, I wouldn't have paid for the pay-per-view, which is what I've done. I buy these shows, it seems like monthly now, and I want them to succeed just like you, Aaron. I know, because competition is healthy, and, let's face it, without AEW, Punk probably wouldn't be in WWE right now. Competition drives the business. But enough of that. The show, I'm actually okay with some of the matches on here, because we don't see this card has a few new people on it that aren't usually on pay-per-views, and I'm good with that. However, I don't know. I've pretty much given up on the devil stuff, so I'm sorry, but I have to say 6 out of 10.
All right. Well, that's still okay. Walter, this is actually, to my knowledge, from what I recall, this is the first AEW pay-per-view where there is nobody from the Elite on this show. No Kenny Omega, no Hangman Adam Page, no Young Bucks. I believe this is the first one in history without any of those guys I just mentioned. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat room. Walter, how do you feel about that, and how do you feel about this pay-per-view?
I think you're right. That is. So I didn't even realize that. But for the pay-per-view, I think I'm smack down right in the middle, 5 out of 10. There's only specific couple of matches that I'm looking forward to, and then Tony Khan just randomly threw other ones together. But AEW has a way to deliver on the pay-per-views. Dynamite sometimes doesn't hit, and sometimes Collision doesn't, but they always deliver on the pay-per-views. So I'm hoping they do that yet again, but we'll see.
I'm going with a 7 because I think that the card itself is not the strongest they've put together. I feel a lot of the matches have just been thrown together, but I do know that AEW delivers, and it's going to be a great show. They're going to go out there, have some fantastic matches, great matches, as Tony Khan might say. And I know it's going to be worth the money. I'm not worried about that at all. I just wish I felt a little bit more hyped for the matches going in. Ron?
I gotta say, what you said about the point that you make about the first pay-per-view without the Elite, I think that's a really, really interesting point. And it, as we've all seen, seems that there's a bit of a moment of inflection, a bit of change going on in AEW right now, where, obviously we've seen the exit of Dana Massey, we've seen the exit of a few others over the last few months. And I think that, with the Young Bucks taking their time off, now listen, Omega's diverticulitis situation is not necessary. I'm not one of the ones that believes that he's doing this to take a powder on purpose. I think that he actually overexerted himself I think he did a lot of roids, and I think he did a lot of painkillers to keep himself in shape and keep himself going for his comeback. And I think it's come to bite him in the butt. But it is very interesting that also Hangman Page is left off of this, and that they managed to not find a spot for him. I'm assuming that he will find his way in the Battle Royal. I would like to think that anyways, just knowing that I don't think Tony is throwing them all under the bus, but it kind of begs the question, is there a little bit of a general strike by the Elite at the moment?
Yeah, we'll see if Hangman ends up in the Battle Royal. We're going to talk about the Battle Royal. We'll mix that in with the TNT title match, because the winner of the Battle Royal is going to get a future opportunity at that title. But before we get started, shout out to Caleb. Much love to Caleb, longtime viewer. He sent in a $6.50 super chat. Thank you. He says, MJF's world will end tomorrow night. He has made a lot of enemies, but he will be known now as the longest AEW World Champion.
The longest.
Yes.
Yes, we know Caleb's pick.
Right. And maybe a lot of people are going to agree with him. Is this finally going to be the end of the world for MJF? Will we find out who the devil is? Stay tuned. We are going to talk about that, but we're going to start off big, because I do want to talk about the 0 hour match. So I'm going to mix these two together. We're going to start off our predictions with maybe the most anticipated match on the show. It definitely has to be up there. Ron, you're from Canada, right?
Oh, you bet.
You're Toronto, right?
I'm from where Edge is from. I'm from downtown Toronto. Yes, indeed.
And you're a cat person, right?
You know it.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Wait a minute. You just made the cat appear.
This is normal. She's actually made most of the predictions. I'm actually just spitting out her opinions.
All right. There you go. Instant ratings right there. It's like a magician. You had the cat pop in right on cue.
Ready to go.
She lives on my lap, so
there you go. That's a great cat right there. All right. So you're Canadian. You can appreciate this match. We got Christian Cage defending the TNT Championship against Adam Copeland, and a match that I can appreciate, a no DQ match. And I guess shout out to the Jeff Meacham Network. They'll be doing a live watch along. Just Google search or YouTube search Jeff Meacham Network and make sure you're subscribed to them. Check out their live watch along. So this match is a rematch from several weeks ago. I believe it was in Montreal. Christian Cage retained the TNT title against Adam Copeland with the help of Nick Wayne's mom. I think Shayna is her name. Shayna Wayne. So anyways, Rhonda, I'm going to go right back to you and get your first prediction for this. Do you see Adam Copeland winning the title here in this rematch, and why?
I would not like to, because I think Christian's doing such a great job with having the title and being the champion. It's hard to say, because Tony doesn't have the attention span that other promoters may. I think that Christian and Adam, I guess now we have to call him, would probably have a long program planned. And so I would like to think that Christian manages to once again win with interference, setting something up more for Revolution. However, I know that Tony loves to, when he's got an idea, he wants to go with it. I have a feeling we're going to see Edge get Cope get the TNT title around his waist, as a feel-good moment. The only thing that would have made me feel better about this moment is if they had maintained it as a main event level feud. And I went to Edge's last match in Toronto, SmackDown. I actually was this close to hopping on a plane to Montreal to go see this match in Montreal, because I was worried that they might just not run it on pay-per-view. And thank God they've got the sense to do that. I have a feeling that he's going to get his crowning moment tonight, because this is the end of the world. It's the end of the year, and it's the end of a lot of angles that Tony wants to do. I think that in the last few months, he's sort of zeroed in on a few angles that he really, really wants to make sure happen, even if he's dropped the ball on them a little bit. And this is one that I feel he might actually be rushing a little.
Yeah, you're right on that. I thought they were going to save it until Revolution, but they're doing the no DQ match here. It does feel like a blow off. Now, Matthew brought up in the chat, maybe we have Beth Phoenix show up. I mean, Colin Andrew brought up a potential ladder match. Caleb also brought up Beth Phoenix showing up, like she could counteract Nick Wayne's mom or something. Walter, we'll get your thoughts now. Do you see any of those possible scenarios, like Beth Copeland showing up? I guess she can't be Beth Phoenix, right? She's got to be Beth Copeland. Maybe we get a ladder match, one more match at Revolution. What do you think is going to happen here?
I think, it's possible to see her, but like Nick's mom's he's not a wrestler, so like, why bring Beth to her? She's like barely a good actor. Like, why even give her that credibility? Like, so I mean, it's a no DQ match. I think Copeland can handle them. So but I think Adam wins here. I think it's just set up for him to get the title. Otherwise, why did you bring Adam into the company if you're not gonna like start pushing him now? Like, why wait? He's at an age where time isn't his friend anymore. You can't really wait on him. Be like, oh, we can push it. Wait 6-7 months. You never know, especially in AEW with how injuries are or anything. So if you're gonna pull the trigger, pull it now. Don't wait. Yeah, you can't wait on people in their 40s and 50s. Like, if he was like a 21-year-old, 22-year-old wrestler, like something like that, then yeah, you could push the time to develop anything. But time is neither one of their friends, because Christian's up there too. Now, I want Christian to retain. I'm loving Christian's reign, but I think it's just set up for Adam to win now.
Now, TJS, what about Kill Switch? Could we see him get involved? And then could we see Jack Perry return? I saw a comment from Matthew about Jack Perry, Jungle Boy. Maybe he ditches Jack Perry and he's Jungle Boy again. TJS, any thoughts, predictions for this one?
Well, I think that they should not keep calling him Adam Copeland. It's a mouthful. They should have just went with Cope. I think that actually sounds better. Yeah, I mean, this is like one of the most anticipated matches in my opinion, even though, the feud's been okay. I mean, yeah, there has to be shenanigans. The fact that it's no DQ, something's got to happen. That being said, I wouldn't be shocked if Jungle Boy does show up again. We're going to get to the devil talk later, but if he shows up here, that eliminates the possibility of him being the devil. So, I'm just going to say Christian retains. And then maybe they set up one final match down the line. And then that can be like loser leaves AEW or something. I don't know. I mean, how much further can you go with this Christian thing? If Edge beats him, then I think that's just, so. Yeah, I think Christian. They want to build up the heat. They want to build the heat up. So that's why I say Christian retains.
Fair enough. I mean, I think Adam Copeland's going to win the title. That's my prediction. And then they do one more match. I mean, regardless of who wins, I think we could very well see that ladder match at Revolution. And let them do a third match to end the feud once and for all. And if Copeland won, it would be one apiece, and then the rubber match would be Revolution. Walter?
Is Adam's dad still alive?
No.
He's never actually known his father. He was never in the picture.
All right.
Maybe that's his kryptonite against Christian Cage. He can't make fun of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right, because Christian said that he grew up with Jay Riesel's father. Yeah. Okay. All right.
All right. So that's one match down. We got like 9 to go, I think, something like that. So,
Golly.
all right. Well, Ron, you'll appreciate this one. We got the AEW Women's Championship. Timeless Toni Storm going up against Riho, who is one of the AEW originals. She's been around since basically the beginning. And this could be Toni Storm's toughest test to date. But I'm just going to go ahead and say I don't think we're seeing a title change here. Toni Storm is on fire right now with her gimmick. And I do not see Riho winning the championship. Walter, I'll go over to you and get your thoughts on this match. I mean, do you see any possible title change here? I mean, I feel like they've been switching the titles around a lot lately, especially the women's title. Feels like a bit of a hot potato, like Saraya had it, and then Toni Storm had it, and now there's a possibility of Riho winning it. But I think Toni's going to have a pretty lengthy reign. What do you think?
Yeah, I was going to say Timeless, her reign barely it started. Like, it's barely been there. So, I think she retains. I think she may cheat her way. She may lose the match, but she ain't no way she's losing the title. So I say Toni retains here. And I think this is going to be a series. It's not going to be one match. So you got to give Toni. Usually the champ wins the first by hook or by crook or some cheating or something. They usually win the first one, which keeps the feud going when the challenger has a legit reason to get a rematch. So I think something like that's going to happen. And there'll be another match between these two at Revolution.
Oh, no.
All right. Well, Ron, Matthew said Toni needs to utterly destroy Riho. So what are your thoughts on that comment?
Listen, as one of Riho's biggest fans, I would have to say, you know what? The only thing I worry about is another weird decision, like when Hikaru Shida just came back and won the title for some reason. Sometimes Toni does this stuff. Sometimes he gets his threads of continuity are not the ones that are the same ones that many fans would have. So, he might be looking at World's End and this big culmination of things and looking at her as the first AEW champion and maybe deserving another reign. However, I don't think it's not the time to end what Toni Storm's her current reign. It's not the time to change things. The one thing I kind of hope is, Walter, I hope this is not going to be extended into multiple matches. I do not see Riho versus Toni Storm having the gas. I am ecstatic that Riho is back in the main event picture so I can laugh at all 90 pounds of her flying across the ring. And she has been her and her doilies have been a constant source of amusement for me and my friends. But I'm going to say that Toni Storm has to win this one. Otherwise, holy smokes, we're going to have a lot to talk about the Booker of the Year if this changes hands tonight.
I mean, it'd be another hot potato scenario for sure. TJS, let's get your thoughts on this match.
Were we going to talk about the Battle Royal? Is that later?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Okay, give your thoughts, and then we'll talk about the Battle Royal real quick.
Toni Storm.
All right, Toni Storm. There you go. Toni Storm retains. So the Battle Royal, I forgot to mention that with the TNT title match, like I wanted to. Yes, exactly. Botch. Because that makes a difference as far as who you pick for the Battle Royal. It makes a difference because if Adam Copeland's winning, you want to pick a heel to win the Battle Royal. And if Christian's winning, you want to pick a babyface to win the Battle Royal. I mean, naturally, that's what you would want to go with, I think. So let's talk about the Battle Royal real quick. I mean, I don't even know who's in it, quite frankly.
Nobody does.
I would say, here's the thing, though. Like, if Edge wins the title and I want somebody significant to win the Battle Royal, like, I don't want them to lose to Adam Copeland and be the first guy fed to him. So I don't even know who I would want to have win. Like, I'd love to see somebody like Powerhouse Hobbs win, although I think he's in a match. I'm not even sure. That's the thing. I don't even know. Honestly, I don't even know who is in this damn Battle Royal. And because of that, I can't even think. Like, I could name somebody, but I think they might be in the 8-man match, 2 of the 8-man matches.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Like, my brain is hurting just trying to think who's even in the match. So maybe we'll get to the Battle Royal at the end because I can't think right now. And I got to see who's on these other matches before I can even make a call here. But if somebody out there has the lineup of the participants, that would be very helpful.
Wikipedia says TBA. So
thank you, Booker of the Year, Tony Khan.
I'll throw one out there. I think it'll be either Kill Switch,
good
or
call.
I think it'll either be Kill Switch or maybe you see Jungle Boy come back there. Although to be honest with you, I think Tony's still pissed as Jungle Boy, and I think he's actually more pissed than people understand. I don't know if we will see him. I think Kill Switch is a good call. I could also see Adam Page because he doesn't have much to do these days.
Yeah,
since losing to Swerve, those would be my two. And also, Tony has a real history of booking Adam Page deep into these battle royals, either to lose it at the end or to win it. So I would say that you might see Adam Page come in. I think Kill Switch to make a real a situation for the TNT title. Well, that's my real prediction.
I mean, that's fair. I think that's a valid point. So Noah Foster, he does our No DQ Predictions League. I'm going with Kill Switch. What the hell? I mean, I got nothing better.
I'll go with Orange Cassidy. That's just my guess.
What Tony should do is if you signed one of these release superstars, you debut them in this, and you have that person win.
Isn't this
and establish them a medium? I don't know. I think most of their 90 days are up, so you might as well, if you signed one of them, shoot them out to this thing.
Yeah, but this is on the kickoff. Are they really going to do that?
Walter, who do you have? Any pick?
I don't even know who's in it, so I guess.
None of us do.
Yeah, I guess Kill Switch or Strong.
All right, just say Kill Switch and we'll move on.
Yeah, Kill Switch.
All right. Next up, we have a match that is like a year, maybe longer in the making. We have Swerve Strickland versus Keith Lee. This match was supposed to happen a long time ago. It never happened. And then they went off and did different things. And now we're coming back to it for this show. Swerve Strickland, a lot of people think he should have won the Continental Classic or at least been in the finals. I feel like this match is just designed to give him a win. He did not win the Continental Classic, so you book this match. I'm thinking Swerve definitely wins here. TJS, we'll go to you. Any thoughts on this? I mean, I'm not much to say about it. I just think Swerve's going to beat him. It's a filler match. What do you think?
Well, it just makes me sad that we're talking about Keith Lee in a filler match because in 2021, I believe it was, he was in the ring with Brock Lesnar looking like a serious threat, and now he's wearing a Santa Claus hat, losing to Swerve on what feels like a filler show. So, yeah, I mean, I have to agree with Aaron. I think that Swerve is going to win. He needs the win back after he lost the Continental Classic, and then maybe one day Keith Lee can return home to WWE and not be Bearcat.
Good point. Ron, we'll go over to you now with your thoughts on this. Anything you want to add?
I mean, listen, I said it earlier to my group. I'm blown away by the fact that Tony Khan has managed to accomplish something incredibly unique with the booking of this match. And that is that it turns out that they've never actually fought, yet I'm already sick of seeing this match again and again and again. I don't know how he's managed to cause this situation, but Booker of the Year. No, I mean, as you said, it's a consolation for Swerve. The Continental Classic. I mean, we can talk about our predictions afterward, but it's pretty evident that this is designed as a way to, as a present, basically a present to Eddie Kingston, and that this, I think what's kind of tragic is that Swerve has really shown himself as somebody that's about to break out there, and in true Tony Khan fashion, just like he's doing with Eddie Kingston, giving us Eddie Kingston's push 2 years after we wanted it and after everyone thought he deserved it.
Right.
He's gonna make us wait for Swerve as well. You could have had Swerve and Danielson. You could have had a lot of different options, but fortunately this is a consolation prize for Swerve. Keep the heat by settling an old score, long-term storytelling.
All right, Walter, anything else you'd like to add?
this is the concession stand match. This is where like everybody gets up and goes to the bathroom, eats or buys some merch or something. Like this is all this is set up to do.
Wow.
And poor Keith Lee, man.
I think
Poor Keith Lee.
For this one.
Yeah, exactly. This is for everybody at home to be able to use the bathroom and not miss much, and in the arena. So I think Swerve wins this one easily.
There you have it. Swerve for the win. And we'll quickly move on here to our TBS Championship match. Julia Hart defending her title against Abadon. I think this is Abadon's first pay-per-view match, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody in the chat room, correct me if I'm wrong. This is another one that feels like a filler to me. Like Julia Hart just needs an opponent. Abadon hasn't gotten an opportunity. So Tony Khan's like, all right, let's give her a shot, put her on the pay-per-view, see what happens. But it feels like another filler match. I do not see Abadon winning the title. I think it's highly unlikely that she wins the title. Just somebody for Julia Hart to beat. So she has another notch on her belt, another win as champion in her title run. And I got nothing else to say about it. Ron, I'll throw it over to you.
Can I pull my IDGAF card?
Yes.
Yeah,
I need many of them.
Yeah, I you know what? I'll just leave it up to Normal. She doesn't give a crap either.
Perfect. So your pick is Julia Hart to retain?
Of course.
Of course. Walter, we'll throw it over to you now.
Julia Hart, enough said about this match.
All right. TJS, anything you would like to add?
Evil Julia Hart is very attractive.
There you go.
And I think she
TJS.
Yeah, and she retains the title. That's it.
What do you think about the new Sky Blue?
Whew. Golly, Aaron, you're making me sweat.
You like the new look?
Oh yeah. Okay, so booking her, like allowing her to wear that outfit on TV makes Tony Khan Booker of the Year.
I guess that TJS has spoken, everybody.
Have my water.
We know TJS ain't going to the bathroom during that match with Julia Hart.
Or maybe I am.
Yeah, well.
Oh, jeez.
It might be over by the time you're done in the bathroom. I mean.
Oh, it won't take long.
All right, with that, we're going to move on here. We got the first of two great, spectacular 8-man tag team matches, all-star matches with some of the best athletes in the history of professional wrestling.
Justified, this is awesome chance.
Yes. So we could have had a tag team title match, but we're going to make it even bigger and greater for everybody. We're having an 8-man tag team match. We got Chris Jericho. We got him and Sammy Guevara after like a month of feuding, if that. They're now back together again. They're teaming up with Sting and Darby Allin. Darby is back from his preparations for his Mount Everest climb. I think he's still doing that. I have no idea. I don't really care, quite frankly. They're going up against Big Bill, Ricky Starks, the tag team champions. Powerhouse Hobbs, as I mentioned earlier, like that guy should be pushed more than he is. And Takeshita, for that matter. He beat Kenny Omega twice, and he's in some random-ass 8-man tag team match. So, Ron, I'm going to start with you on this one. Your thoughts on this spectacular 8-man extravaganza?
You know what? Some days I have some sympathy for Tony. And, best laid plans of mice and men and all that stuff, right? He'd obviously had a different idea. And when he's up against it at the last minute to improvise, his instinct seems to be to get as many people a booking on the show as possible because he's a really nice guy. Nice guys finish last. I don't know what to say. This is it's like he forgot what to do with Sting. Like, I mean, that's just like that first of all, this is the most appalling part of this match is that you've had Sting announce this retirement tour, that he's got his last match going, and just you get him involved in something that hackneyed, put together at the last second because Omega had to bow out due to his illness. And, it shows that he didn't even know what to do with Sting in the first place and was planning on dropping some kind of Sting and Darby match on us at the last second. His meandering path for Takeshita, I don't think he really had, again, we all know Tony has an idea for a few weeks and then kind of forgets and doesn't know what to do. So he built Takeshita up, and now he's just meandering in this in Don Callis's faction, and should be getting better treatment. I mean, look, who's going to win? Obviously, Sting. I mean, Sting is going to get the pin, and Jericho will probably take it. None of it matters. It's, again, I think what really to focus on this match is the lost opportunity with Sting and the lost opportunity with Takeshita and Hobbs to give them something meaningful to do. This is one of Tony's charity matches, and just a last minute throw it at the wall. So yeah, Sting gets the pin. Everybody feels happy, and and the worst part, actually, I got to say, the worst part is Guevara and Jericho getting back together was some of the laziest booking, because the last time we saw them, they just turned on each other, and now they just are friends again because Omega was injured and Tony doesn't know what to do.
Mr. Tito, he's a NoDQ columnist. He's a fan of you, Ron. He's glad to have you on. Says you're a welcomed addition to the team.
Thank you. I'm a fan of his columns.
Oh, there you go. He's been writing as long as I've been running a wrestling website. Actually, he's been doing it a little bit longer than me. He started in like September of 1998, a very long time.
I was born in February of 1998.
Wow. So you were still in diapers when we were getting started on the internet. You were in your diapers when my dad was trolling Rec Sport Pro Wrestling. And Ron, tell me how you came into contact with my dad.
I was a young Mark, just like Tony Khan. I had Googled is wrestling fake, and by about the time you were born, TJS, I already knew Dave Meltzer was bat insane, and that and that he only liked Japanese wrestling. Anyway, I was making fun of Tiger Drivers when you were in diapers.
And you ran into my dad in one of those groups.
Yeah, so I ran into Zoogs in rec.sport.pro wrestling, and he was one of the funniest, most absurd guys. And he actually, I like to say that he actually kind of got me down the path of taking the piss out of pro wrestling and laughing at the absurdity of it. And he was always a welcome addition to any conversation, even though usually he derailed it completely.
Very true. Yeah, that was him, all right. But yeah, that's awesome that you go back that far and you actually knew who my dad was. That's pretty awesome. And no wonder you're a fit right in with us.
I'm liking it. I'm loving you guys.
Yeah, it's a pleasure having you on. We still got more matches to go. Did we get everyone's thoughts? Oh, Sting wins. I mean, Sting's a good guy. Hits his retirement tour. Big Bill's probably going to be the one that gets beat. Think of AEW logic. Typically, the big man is the one that goes down in defeat. The most credible looking guy, the most intimidating looking guy in AEW is usually the one that does the job. So Big Bill's probably taking the fall here. Walter, did you give your pick?
No, but it's Team Sting.
Team Sting. Sting's probably winning until Revolution. I could see him losing at Revolution, putting over somebody. Ron, anything you want to add?
I made a little mistake. I said Jericho would eat the pin because I forgot that he's not the heel anymore.
That's totally understandable.
Yeah, and I'll agree with you guys. I think Team Sting is going to win. My guess is that they were going to have Jericho and Kenny win the titles, and then they just had to book this match because they didn't want Jericho and Sammy to win the titles, but they also didn't want Jericho to lose. So,
yeah. All right.
I think Tony was just throwing darts at names, and that's how this match came together or something.
That's how I'm making these picks.
Big pot of spaghetti, just throw it at the wall. Yeah,
All right. So next up, we have the other 8-man all-star 8-man tag. Now, this is just the Continental Classic, people. This feels like it could be on an episode of Dynamite. Like, doesn't really feel like a pay-per-view match, but you know it's going to be a hell of a match with these guys. You got 8 great competitors there. I said great again. Too much Tony Khan rubbing off of me. But yeah, we got Claudio, the Pirate, Bryan Danielson. We got Mark Briscoe. We got Danny Garcia. We got the other team, which is comprised of Jay White, Jay Lethal, not Jay. What's that guy's name? Brody King and
Roosh,
whatever you want to call him. Roosh. So 8-man tag match. Like this match, I feel like you could just flip a coin. Like I could literally see either team winning. I think it's 50-50 down the middle. I have no idea who's winning this one. Walter, I'll go back to you. You want to take a shot at this? Give us a logical prediction here, like make an argument for us so we can be persuaded. I might be persuaded by what you say. Go ahead.
I don't know. You literally have somebody who scored 0 points in the Continental tournament in this match.
Ooh.
And Jay Lethal, he didn't get any points.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But I almost feel like it's set up that as a consolation prize that everybody who lost so much in the Continental tournament, maybe they get a big win as a team here and justify why they were in the tournament in the first place. So I think Daniel Bryan's team is gonna win, but for the hell of it and for the points to be different, I say Jay Lethal's team will win. But it's just to be different. I really don't believe it.
Did you say Daniel Bryanson?
I don't know what I said. I think I did.
Look at your mug.
All right, TJS, your thoughts on that? On what he said, he's going with Jay Lethal's team. Do you agree?
No. I'm looking at the participants again, and man, I think Blackpool. Okay, it's called All-Star, but I think Claudio and Danielson's team is going to win because, quite frankly, they're the biggest stars in the match, and I mean they ain't losing. I don't think. So yeah, I'm going with. Well, okay, I guess they're the baby faces, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go with them then. All-Star.
All right, Rhonda, we'll throw it over to you.
All right, listen. First of all, I mean, I don't know what was going on with Danielson. I don't know what's going on with Tony Khan, where he forgot to book Danielson for the biggest pay-per-view. I mean, in his last year, again, he's got Danielson and Sting both saying, "We're done. We're out of here after this year." And he forgets to book them both in a consequential match. I mean, that's, first of all, what WTF. I'm trying to keep myself PG, but honestly,
Appreciate that.
like WTF, IDGAF. But I'll say this, is that I think that, Danielson did what Tony Khan wanted, and that is to put Eddie Kingston over in his Japanese cosplay fantasy G2 or whatever you call it, the C2 tournament.
Why are they calling it the C2, Aaron?
Because it's not the G1, it's the Continental Classic 2, right? Get it? Yeah. It's just yeah. I know, and so it's a consolation prize for. Everyone thought it was the consolation prize for Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryanson not being able to compete in the G1, but actually this is fulfilling Eddie Kingston's wish and dream of winning the G1, which nobody in NJPW would ever do because he's fat, out of shape, and nobody believes what he's doing. And he can't even make the what do you call it there, the chops, who's the guy, the Kawada chops look good. But anyways, I think Danielson gets a win back because he just did the job for Kingston to set up this story. And I think, I mean, booking logically, not saying that happens here, but I'd say you got to give Danielson his rub back so that he can go into future pay-per-view events, hopefully with a match booked for them more than a week in advance, looking strong.
Well, Danielson has that match coming up at Wrestle Kingdom, so I feel like he has to win here, right?
He's wrestling at Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. He's got the Okada match at Wrestle Kingdom. So that
Really?
might be why. That's actually, you know what? Thank you, Aaron, because that's probably why they didn't give him a singles match.
Yeah, I mean that actually makes sense.
You know
Is
what?
that confirmed?
I retract my really pessimistic statement. I mean, Booker of the Year is giving one of the best Danielson matches to NJPW, but hey.
Yeah, I mean it's all part of the game. You know, you got to play the politics, and
Wow.
yeah, I think Danielson's team wins here. You know, keep Danielson strong going into that match, and yeah, I mean I think that he'll probably do his usual crazy stuff despite being banged up, and you know he could take it easy, but knowing him, he's gonna still do some crazy stuff in this match.
I was ringside to watch him get his arm broken by Okada. So
Oh,
I mean,
jeez.
yeah, I know. And no, I mean, look, I love the guy. I wish the best for him. I wish that he wouldn't do all the things that he wants to do sometimes. But yeah, it's I say there's no other way other than putting him over and making him look strong going in against Okada. Because what are you going to do? Send a guy into to New Japan to main event with two losses under his belt? No.
Right. Yeah. So everybody get their picks in. All right. So we'll move on here to our next match. We're getting down to the nitty gritty. We're actually almost at the end here. We got a few matches left. I feel like I'm missing something. Though.
You are, Aaron. We missed the Hook versus
Wheeler Yuta.
Yeah. Is that the
Thank
match?
you for missing that. I appreciate that.
All right. Everybody could just say their answer. They don't have to elaborate. Hook wins.
Hook.
Walter?
Hook.
TJS?
Hook.
Ron?
Yuta.
Oh,
All right. Fair enough. I mean, that would change things up a little bit, right? Like the Hook FTW title thing's kind of like meh.
very prestigious title.
Yes.
I mean,
One of 1,000. Title 1 of 1,000.
Yeah, I mean, at least it would shake things up a little bit. But yeah, I say Hook, but Ron's going with Yuta, so we'll see what happens. All right, so we got, I think, 2 matches left, maybe 3, if I'm not mistaken. Well, I only got 2 graphics here left. We'll see if I'm missing something significant in a moment. All right, we got Jon Moxley versus Eddie Kingston in the Continental Classic Final. Eddie Kingston put up his championships in this tournament. The winner is going to be like a triple crown winner. He's going to have 3 titles as one. I'm not even sure what the hell this is, but you know, it's based off of what they do in Japan with the G1 and all that stuff. I don't really care personally. I'm not into the New Japan stuff really, but you know, it is what it is. A lot of fans like the tournament idea, and I did enjoy it for the most part. You know, it was predictable sometimes, but we did get some really good matches out of it. These guys have their history. They were friends a couple of years ago. They were allies, and you know, it's going to be a crazy match. Jon Moxley will probably bleed. They'll chop each other. You know, Eddie Kingston will dare Moxley to chop him, and then they'll just chop each other, and the crowd will chant, "This is awesome, fight forever." You pretty much know how it's going to go. If you've seen these guys wrestle and what they do.
Justified. This is
yeah,
awesome.
justified.
Yes. Tony Khan will tweet, "Justified, this is awesome," chants, no doubt about it. It should be a hell of a match. It's going to be a spectacle. You know, these guys are going to beat the crap out of each other. Now, who's going to win? That's the big question. That's why we're here. TJS, we're going to start with you. Who do you think is going to win this one?
Well, I have to say, I think Eddie Kingston is going to pick up the win over a very game Jon Moxley. I feel like Moxley doesn't need it. Like he this guy, I mean, he's pretty much like the Superman of AEW at this point. This guy, he wins a lot. He's accomplished a lot, and I feel like they probably want to throw Eddie Kingston a bone here. And yeah, I mean, I kind of expected Eddie to go to the finals since he already holds the titles. And yeah, I mean, I'm expecting him to win. He'll beat Moxley here, I think. And then maybe Moxley will finally take a hiatus. I think that guy needs a break.
Yeah, he said he was going to take a vacation, and then he had to come right back after all the CM Punk drama. So yeah, I mean, it would be a huge win for Kingston, maybe 2 years too late. You know, he was really hot a couple years ago. But hey, Kingston was the one that put his titles on the line. I feel like it makes the most sense for him to win this after everything he was putting up for grabs. Moxley doesn't need it, like you said. Moxley could take a little bit of time off. So I'll go with Kingston too. Ron, what do you think?
Listen, if you followed everything that hasn't been on television for the last 15 years, you'd know that Eddie Kingston has never beat Jon Moxley. And that goes back to CZW, PWG, all this stuff. And then, of course, in his matches in AEW, he's never won because long-term storytelling, things that have happened are stories, right? So basically, he's never beat Jon Moxley. This entire tournament has been a big thank you to Eddie Kingston so that he can live out his Japanese fantasy of winning the Triple Crown that isn't actually the Triple Crown in the G1 that isn't the G1. And so, you know, this is going to be the coronation of Eddie Kingston as the Triple Crown champion. And also Jon Moxley is, I believe, at Wrestle Kingdom, which we really should keep more of an eye on as to what the booking plans are at Wrestle Kingdom with AEW people in order to predict this. Jon Moxley is fighting for the new title that they made to replace the British title and the US title. So I think they have a global title or something that he's probably going to try to win there. So I think that they'll give Eddie Kingston the Triple Crown Championship. Then Jon Moxley will go win some NJPW Global Championship. So nobody actually gets one over on him. He's still a main eventer, and he's still living out his Japanese fantasy. But Eddie Kingston gets a smaller, lesser than Japanese fantasy fulfilled for him at World's End. And so, yeah, I mean, I would love to pull the IDGAF card on this, but I do have opinions, and I think my opinion is right.
I think that's a very valid argument there. Walter, do you agree with him? What are your thoughts?
I couldn't really care about this match. But I feel like Moxley is just like Tony Khan's like go-to guy. Like whenever you need a substitute or do something, he calls Jon Moxley's name. He's like that overworked, underappreciated employee at the job. And it just seems to be like that. And you probably burning them out at this point. You probably burned them out 6-7 months ago. But I think Kingston wins. It's like I almost believe John will win because it's like Tony Khan loves him so much, he might reward him. But I say Kingston wins. I think this whole thing was set up to make Kingston have a bone, like TJS said, to give him a bone. It was all set up for Kingston. Like, here you go on a silver platter type thing. So I think he wins.
I think Kingston wins. He's my pick. And Mo Camera says, why do we hate AEW so much? I didn't think we were that hateful about AEW.
No. If we hated AEW, we wouldn't buy the show. That's my defense.
Exactly.
I paid $50 for this show. I want to like it.
I paid $250 to sit ringside at Forbidden Door 2. I was ringside for sitting next to Killer Cross and Scarlett for the very first AEW pay-per-view, Double or Nothing. I tried real hard to like things, and it's hard to like what Tony books. It's sometimes it's see-through, sometimes it's just nonsensical. Like when there's a surprise, it's not for the right reasons. It's a surprise because the guy got injured or because Tony just made something up on the fly. And when it's not a surprise, and when it makes sense, you can see it coming from 10 miles away, like Eddie Kingston and his little consolation G1 prize here. But also, I think everybody wants to know who will bleed first and when will they bleed. So I think that would be a more valid prediction for all of us to throw in. Why don't we try that?
Well, I'm contemplating going to the show, so I don't hate AEW. Stop assuming.
I would say I'm going to say that Kingston actually bleeds first and not Moxley for a change.
I think Moxley will.
Oh, well, there you go.
I think Eddie Kingston is doing the blade job, and Moxley will surprise us by not blading. And then losing because he always wins when he blades.
Now, will they try to one up Hangman Page and Swerve with the grotesque moment?
Oh no, he's gonna stick those things in his friggin' head again, isn't he?
I'm gonna be the asshole saying collision of heads and they both bleed.
Oh, maybe they could actually put the skewers between their two heads, and both stick each other with them.
Oh, they're going to both stab each other in the head with the skewers. They're each going to have a piece of the skewer in their head, and they're going to take turns stabbing each other with it. Fight forever.
I have my 78-year-old mother lives with me. I don't live in her basement. She lives in mine. And I was watching that Wembley show with her. And that's when I remember that's when I turned the show off. I said, I'll screw this guy, and turned the whole show off when he stuck those things in his head. And the World's End pay-per-view, the biggest moment possibly one of their biggest moments of the year, the last show of the year. No way that guy isn't going to do something friggin' gross.
Oh, I wanted to tell you this, Ron. I went to Dynamite in Detroit earlier this year with my wife and her best friend and her son, who is 7 years old.
I saw the pictures.
Yeah, so the 7-year-old, he was watching the main event, which was Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega, the cage match. And what were they doing? They were using like a fork or a knife.
Oh, yeah.
Then
stabbing each other with forks all the time.
Yeah, they were stabbing each other with a fork, and the kid's name is Tommy. He started crying. He's 7 years old. He started crying.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's just like I said, my poor mother was subjected to that. And the funniest part is right before she'd seen CM Punk and Samoa Joe, she knows nothing of all of this crap that was happening. And I remember she was watching it. She was like, I like this. This is wrestling. This is good. This is how it used to be. And then that a-hole sticks those skewers in his head. Oh, anyway, so I'm sure that a-hole will stick those skewers in his head. No, you know what? He's gonna stick the skewers in Eddie Kingston's head so they can have their big Japanese cosplay moment. And anyways.
Now I want this match to be a first blood match. Damn it!
It'd be over.
How is he not?
Minutes.
How has Moxley never been booked in the first blood match?
I know. How do you not book him in a first blood match? He not bleed. I mean, if I was Jon Moxley's opponent in kayfabe, I'd be like, I want to challenge Jon Moxley to a first blood match.
Exactly.
All right. So we actually have 2 matches left. This is the one I forgot, but I got the graphic for it. We got Andrade El Idolo versus Miro. In other words, the battle of the 2 guys that wish they could be back in WWE if they had the opportunity, if they could get out of their contracts. Another match I really don't care about. Like I feel like they're just going through the motions, especially Miro. At least Andrade was in the tournament and got a couple of wins. Miro, I feel, has just been treading water almost his entire AEW career, and he gets a push, then he's off TV, and then we get the Redeemer video packages for like 3 or 4 weeks, and then he's back on TV for a match, then he disappears again, more video packages, he comes back, and it's just rinse, wash, repeat, the whole thing. So yeah, I don't really care about the match. I don't even know the storyline that much with CJ Perry. I guess Miro's upset that she's managing Andrade. Is that the storyline? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I'm that uninterested in it. I don't even know what the actual story is here. And I haven't been watching Collision much. So Walter, I'll let you go first. Tell me what's going on with this match and why I should care.
I don't know why you should. The winners will be the fans when this shit is over. That'll be the winners. I don't know. This is like a pick your poison type thing. I guess Andrade, he came off the tournament. Miro has no momentum at all. Well, neither one of them do, to be honest. But I guess Andrade and one of them has to go back to WWE, or at least I hope, because damn, what has Tony done with them?
Yeah, I mean, I am thinking Andrade goes back to WWE when his deal is up, whenever that is.
Yeah. Plus, he's got to end there with Charlotte. So
exactly. Ron, what do you think?
I mean, you know what? This is, excuse me. This is the match that. This match was clearly booked, and this feud was conceived of, maybe ill-conceived, but it was conceived of when Collision was a thing. These are CM Punk guys. They were coming back because of CM Punk, and this was supposed to be a Collision feud, and that's why Tony doesn't give a shit about it anymore. And it's been very evident that he doesn't. And very evident that neither of the two participants really give much of one either. They're back on TV, but Miro particularly doesn't even look happy to be back on TV. He thought it was going to be something else with this CM Punk thing, and then everything happened, and he's right back to where he started with being miserable out of having signed there and not being in the WWE. Andrade obviously, would rather be on the road with his wife, and I don't think any of these guys really care about it, and neither do the fans, neither do we. And again, like I say, neither does Tony Khan. This was promised to them that they would have a program, and nobody cares. I will say that the winner of this match, it would be a blessing to both of them if they just made this a loser leaves town match, and they would both be lying on the ground trying to pin themselves. I mean, like, just. Anyways, who wins? Andrade got a little bit more heat, and also Ric Flair wants to manage him in AEW as long as he's being held hostage there. So I will say that Andrade wins, and we might see Flair help him do it.
That would be interesting if Flair somehow got involved in that. I mean, I think it's better than what they're doing with him now, which is pretty much nothing. And in which case, why even bring the guy in the first place? But Walter, we'll go over to you now. Your thoughts on this match?
I gave my thoughts. It's TJS's turn.
Oh, what was your pick?
Andrade.
Okay, so 2 for Andrade then. TJS?
I already gave my thoughts. It's Walter's turn.
Oh my God, you guys
no. In all seriousness, yeah. I mean, CJ is managing Andrade right now. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm guessing that she turns on Andrade and then helps Miro win.
Flair becomes Andrade's guy.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That makes sense. I mean, there's only so long you can keep CJ and Miro apart. So I suspect that, hopefully they can finally utilize Miro properly and he gets the win here. And CJ joins him and Flair joins Andrade, like Ron said.
I'm only going to say Miro because I feel like this match would not be happening unless Miro was going over. Like if Miro was told you're losing to Andrade, I think Miro would have said, I'm good. I don't need to do this.
He dropped the ball so bad with Miro. Like, this guy, when he first came in, looked like physically he looks like $1 million. Like, he's so believable, but it's another conversation.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it a long time ago, him coming in with the video games and the bleach blonde hair. Like, what the hell? What was up with that?
It was a mistake. He said it was a mistake.
Maybe
the BTE juice or something like that day.
Yeah, maybe this can be winner leaves AEW match. Winner leaves, not loser leaves. Winner leaves.
There you go. That they're going to go all out if that's the case. But anyways, enough of that. Let's get to the main event. But before that, Mr. Tito sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you, Tito. He wants us to predict, where does Okada go in 2024, AEW, WWE, or other? I'll go first. I think he's going to stay in Japan. Now that Tanahashi is the president, I think maybe that will lead to Okada staying in Japan. There must have been some drama going on behind the scenes, and there was a big shakeup there. So I think Okada stays in Japan. TJS, what do you think?
I agree. Yeah.
Walter?
I want him to be a surprise Rumble entrant. Maybe they'll give him that one time, but I think he'll stay in Japan. But maybe they'll give him that one time permission to be like in a Rumble or something.
No, they're going to go and do they're going to give him the Will Ospreay contract, but it might be the reverse Will Ospreay. So whereas Ospreay is signed with AEW and is still open to do all the New Japan he wants, I think Okada might stay with New Japan, but is available for all the AEW that they want. I think that a large part of Obari getting fired is that this AEW relationship has gotten out of control for New Japan, and that they've actually lost a lot of face, which is very important in Japanese culture, in that Tony keeps signing their guys, especially the white guys. All the white guys the reason they were in Japan was to get themselves exposed to an audience, mostly to get themselves exposed to a North American audience, to be honest. Why was Jay White there? Yes, obviously he wants to make money and win titles in Japan and wrestle Okada, but really it was because he was getting short shrift in North America, and he wasn't getting, even in ROH, any of this stuff, he wasn't getting any top billing. So, basically, I see them doing the reverse of the Osprey deal, where he stays in Japan. He is still the ace. He takes over Tanahashi's title as the ace, which he already has, really. But he is allowed to come to America and cross promote. And I think that Tanahashi there instead of Obari, first of all, Tanahashi can make Tony Khan some concessions and favors by appearing himself and wrestling himself, or withholding that, but can get this relationship back under control, where this isn't just Tony and his wild ass checkbook taking all of their talent, or at least the ones he wants, and leaving them always kind of wondering what the heck they're doing this for, other than exposure into a market that, frankly, Tony Khan blocked them from getting into. Because I went to ROH versus NJPW at MSG. I went there thinking I was seeing Cody versus Okada, and I watched Matt Taven beat Marty Scurll in a ladder match, and I watched Enzo Amore show up. That was not what was supposed to be happening. That was supposed to be All-In number 2, and they Tony Khan poached all his talent, blocked it off, ruined it. They've taken this exposure, and I think they're trying to control the relationship more now. So I say Okada in Japan still has AEW appearances where he can come in once every 3 months and injure one of their top stars.
Well said there. I mean, I think you made a good point there with everything, and we'll see what happens. Thank you for the super chat, Mr. Tito, and we'll get now to the main event. We got MJF defending the World Heavyweight Championship. Our scumbag defending against Samoa Joe, a guy he has already beaten for the championship in a match, but they're having their rematch here. This is in MJF's hometown, Nassau Coliseum, Long Island, New York, his territory. And they did the big angle on Dynamite where Joe turned against him and said he was working with the devil. But that's the key, working with the devil. We still don't know who is the ultimate mastermind behind the devil. So I'll go first on this. I think MJF retains in his hometown. I don't think he's leaving AEW. There's that whole 2024 bidding war stuff. I think he's staying with AEW. I think he wins here, but then we're going to have the reveal. The devil is going to show up after the match. They're going to beat down MJF, and we can do our predictions here for that if you guys want. Do you think the devil will be revealed? Yes or no? And if so, who do you think it's going to be? I say yes, and I think it's going to be Adam Cole. It's going to be Adam Cole and the Kingdom. They were all working together. Maybe Britt Baker's in the mix. I think that's the most logical outcome. It could be Dolph Ziggler, maybe Mustafa Ali running his second masked man faction in wrestling. I mean, there are a few possibilities, but I'm going to say MJF retains against Joe. Should be a hell of a match. I mean, I'm looking forward to this one. MJF does not miss on pay-per-view, and Joe has been doing great stuff. So they're going to have a great main event, and I think we're going to see the reveal after the match, and Adam Cole will betray his best friend and reveal that he was the devil. TJS, I'll throw it over to you now. Your thoughts on the match. Do you think we'll see the devil review, yes or no?
Well, didn't Tony Khan say something like, "Oh, I don't know, the devil might be revealed this weekend"?
He said it will be.
Well, okay, yeah. So if you're selling a show, I think that you shouldn't tease it. I think you should say, "Yeah, we're gonna reveal this weekend." So, man, I think Joe's gonna win the title. I really do. I think they're gonna try to play on that MJF contract expiring on January 1st deal. I think they're going to obviously, I think MJF is signed for probably the next 2 years. But I think they're going to try to play it up. So yeah, it's So I actually have two ideas for the devil thing. The first one is it's just Adam Cole, and you're right, the Kingdom are the masked men, and then they can just beat down MJF, and then they can say we're the ones that took everything from you, MJF. We helped Joe win the title, and now you'll never see MJF in AEW again. And then people are going to be like, oh, well, his contract expired, so that could be the case. You know how it's going to go, or how it could go storyline-wise. The other idea that I have is that the devil is Tony Khan, and he says MJF refused to lose the title in kayfabe, so here I am. I'm the devil, and I'm shooting. I'm actually having these guys beat up MJF, and he's losing that title. He didn't want to lose it in front of his hometown, and they recreate the Montreal Screwjob.
That sounds like something
No TJS
would come up with.
Okay.
Bad TJS.
I'll stick with Joe winning the title and Adam Cole being the devil then.
All right. Well, Walter, I mean, you said bad TJS, so how would you envision this going? What would you do?
I would have exactly what you said. MJF go over, win that title, and then the devil is revealed, and that's his next feud. But if that 2024 contract thing becomes a storyline, you should book him to lose here, and then that's what sends him off the deep end and says, well, maybe I'm not appreciated enough. My title reign isn't as important as others to Tony, and then you play that along. But I think MJF retains here. I say the devil does reveal himself, but I think it's Roderick Strong, and he's been playing it all along. Like his neck was never hurt and anything like that.
Oh.
He's the one with the neck brace, right? Am I confusing him with him?
I think he's part of it. I just don't think he's the mastermind.
He doesn't need to be.
Yeah, but we talked about this on the NoDQ review. Ron, imagine if it was Jim Cornette. I don't think it's going to happen, but I would be so invested in AEW if that happened. Like I would be tuning in 100%. Like I would be hooked to my TV if that happened. What do you think is going to happen here with the devil?
Jimmy was actually that's not going to happen. I'll tell you, like Jimmy was talking about CM Punk and him, and he was pretty much talking in a past tense of like it would have been good, and it almost sounded like it was about a week ago on his podcast. It almost sounded like the conversation happened about Jim coming in to help CM Punk and all this stuff. And I'm going to tie this into my thing to what I'm going to say about this match coming in. And that was that, I think Jim said there was a time and a place, and it would have been with CM Punk and FTR and all this stuff. And there was a time and a place for it. And, what I think is kind of sad about this match is how, AEW is about long-term storytelling. And MJF has been trying to tell this bidding war of 2024 story for 2 friggin' years. And we get up to the runway for it, the last 3-4 months, and they cloud everything with this devil angle that they didn't need to run. And the devil is one of the silliest, stupidest, most indie aspects of MJF's character that should have been dropped the first week it was introduced. But they've persisted in it. And yet the real story that people wanted to hear, the bidding war of 2024, will he, won't he? Is he coming? Is he going? Will he drop the title? I think that they actually at one point had this idea of recreating the CM Punk John Cena thing with Punk and MJF fighting over the title and MJF threatening to go to the WWE with the title. I think that was possibly the original plan.
Yeah.
But it's gotten so clouded and confused. And again, I feel bad for Tony some days when I watch everything that happens. Like these unplanned things don't seem to happen in the WWE nearly as much anymore. The injuries, the walkouts, everything else. I feel bad for them because they've been trying to cobble this together and put something together. And they managed to both create this devil story, which everybody's kind of unsatisfied by and sick of. And MJF just the other day said, I think people are tired of this run I'm on on the Exposed Turnbuckle podcast. So, I think they've got themselves booked into that corner. And then on the other side, they completely dropped the bidding war of 2024. And MJF has gone out and made so many indie markish comments about how much he loves AEW that nobody's even thinking that he's even considering going anywhere else. He feels like he's locked, stock, and signed. And then with about a week left to go, now he's trying to drop hints that he might go and that they're going to take some time off, blah, blah, blah. My prediction, Joe wins the title with the help of Adam Cole, and Kingdom will be the henchmen. They'll bring them back in as a strong tag team and blah, 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 blah. But, I mean, at this point, they'll tease it, they'll talk about it, and nobody will believe it. And in fact, it's just going to make not only AEW a mockery, it's going to make MJF look like an even bigger idiot than he already has while he's out there trying to run a kayfabe storyline that nobody believes. And that's the saddest thing, is that he had this in his hand. He had the audience in his hand when he called Tony a mark. I think that actually, TJS, Tyler, I actually think that Tony Khan being the devil would actually be the better idea. And I actually think that would be the smart booking decision, is to say that, you know what, he knew that MJF wouldn't drop it. Contracts up. He knows that this guy ain't, is too egotistical and only cares about himself. That's why he turned all it. Even maybe he put Adam Cole up to being the devil and turned his friend against him. I don't know what it is, but it would make more sense if Tony actually inserted himself in there. And there's another reason, is that Tony has inserted himself in everything. And he continues to say, I'm not going to be an on-screen character. I'm not going to be. He's the focal point of everything about this entire show. The entire half of the audience tunes in for the damn press scrums at this point. And why not go for it? Why not go in and say, you know what? Yeah, this guy wouldn't give up the title, and I'm taking it off of him. The only problem is that nobody believes their shoot angles anymore, because every time they do it, it's so clumsy, contrived. MJF is out there shooting his mouth off about how much he loves this company, going into indies like Create a Pro and talking about how much he loves all this stuff. Nobody believes it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem when you try to do both at the same time. We saw this in WCW with Vince Russo's booking. Like, he would do all these angles where he's breaking the fourth wall, and then he's coming out there with Goldberg, and Goldberg is saying, I'm not going to follow the script and that sort of thing. And then Russo's out there saying all this was part of a storyline, but now it's real. They just confuse everybody.
Did they really say that stuff?
Yeah. And you were in diapers, but Vince Russo in 2019, like 2000 to 2001, it was shoot angles, and nobody believed any of the shoot angles. The only one anyone believed was the Hulk Hogan, Eric Bischoff one, and it took us about 10 years to fucking believe it, because it was so badly done that nobody believed it was a shoot when it actually was.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry, you didn't have to bleep me on that one, Aaron. I actually made it almost the entire hour without one F-bomb.
That's okay. I think YouTube allows like one or two. I don't know how their system works, but I think we're okay. So it's very intriguing. I will say that, like, we're all wondering, what are they going to do here? I think it's a really crucial moment for AEW. Like, it's going to set the tone for the new year. And with so many eyes on this, like, if this bombs like that, that's not good for AEW. If they could somehow make this a home run, this could be a turning point for them. But I feel like it is a critical moment. They've spent a lot of time building this up, and there's a lot of intrigue about MJF. So yeah, I hope for their sake, whatever they come up with here, they're going to knock it out of the park, and fans will be intrigued. Now, This Guy Experience sent in a $2 super chat, and he says, in Tony Khan's voice, it was me, MJF. It was me all along. Problem with that, Walter, the problem with that is Tony Khan, I don't know if he has the acting chops to pull that off. If he could act, I think it would have potential, but I feel like it would be more like Dixie Carter than Vince McMahon.
Oh, wait, Aaron, what is this? I was just going to say, what is this about you saying, like, Tony Khan, like, stomps his feet? or something
Yeah.
when he's out there?
Yeah, he's out there.
Like, what is it? Like how? Like, what is it?
You got to watch a video of him doing it.
Is he like hyping up the crowd? Like, come on, guy! Like, stop it! Like,
he's stomping Tony, and yeah, and I mean, if he were to do that line, it would be so high pitched. I mean, I'll send you the videos. I'm sure many of the viewers have seen them. The stomping, the high pitched squealing, the Giannis Antetokounmpo, and like, my voice doesn't go that high anymore because I hit puberty, and I mean, like, but like,
well,
I mean, anyway, I can't imagine. I could imagine it being one of the most hilarious moments in wrestling history if he actually had to deliver that line. But anyways,
I mean, I just see the guy like on X, like every single week, he's like, "Oh, what a great show we're having!" Like, could you imagine Vince McMahon or some like Triple H going in there and saying, like, I don't even think Vince McMahon knows his X password.
Yeah, but Walter, we'll get to you in a second. I just wanted to say, like, I would at least give Tony Khan credit if he went with this, because they would be taking a chance. Like, it would be a huge risk, but I would respect the chance that they're taking with Tony Khan as a heel, because he could go out there and he could vent. Like, maybe he's really frustrated with some of the fans that have been talking shit. I just dropped an S-bomb, talking crap on Twitter and X and calling him a mark and accusing him of using cocaine. Like, Tony Khan could go out there and just vent out all of his frustrations, and maybe it could work. Who knows? Like, you got to try. You got to take a chance. If you want to build your brand and get people watching, you got to do something that's going to shock everybody, and everyone's watching like, holy crap, I can't believe this just happened. And maybe it'll be a good thing. Who knows? You don't know until you try. Yeah. Walter, what did you want to add?
I guess maybe, but if you're going to do that, you better have somebody the size of like Big Bill or somebody as Tony's muscle or something, and then that he can hide behind, because at least Vince was more believable. Vince is like 6'3", and at the time probably 250, 260 when he said that of pure muscle. Tony Khan is like 5'9", 150. Look like you could pluck him and knock him out. So, and then his voice is like, it wouldn't be easy to believe. So, I mean, maybe if he had some muscle behind it, you know what? You don't do anything with Powerhouse or Miro or anything. Maybe they could be Tony Khan's protection, their muscle or something. You need big guys like that. Yeah.
Paul White.
Paul White's been through enough.
Little comment. She thinks it's Dolph Ziggler.
Could be Dolph Ziggler. I mean, that would be an opportunity to bring him in, one of the released WWE guys. But, they've done that so many times, bring in the released WWE guy in a big storyline. Like, it's kind of old now.
It almost felt like something Tony Khan would do, right?
Yeah, it does. I mean, wouldn't shock me if it's Ziggler. But I think the safe bet is Adam Cole, as we talked about. And Tony would be very interesting. And maybe they'll come up with something that's completely off everybody's radar. Rhonda?
The only reason I don't think it'd be Adam Cole, and I mean, I know I said that, and I think that makes the most sense, but the only reason I'd see it not happening is I think he might really, really be injured. I don't think he's got a timetable to return yet. And,
I mean, that's a fair point.
I mean, it's not, so maybe he's the devil, and it's either Kingdom or I believe that it looked. Strangely, one of the guys they showed some pictures of the guys in high res. Almost looked like the guy had a mustache like Bobby Fish, but I think he's done with them. But you never know; it might be O'Reilly and Fish back. But I mean, the only way I really see it happening is if Adam Cole is still pulling the strings from afar for a while. But that's the only reason I could see it not happening too, is that they might say, hey, there won't be a payoff for another 6 to 12 months. Depends on if this guy's ankle gets any better.
Right. Very fair point.
Yeah. It's again, the overriding point. I actually feel bad for Tony Khan and all the stuff that happens to them. I mean, the Adam Cole thing is absolutely tragic. He just jumped off of stage. I mean,
TJS.
Oh, yeah. So I agree with you, actually, Ron, about he would have to be pulling the strings from afar. So picturing it in my head right now. I'm imagining the show ending with the lights going out, and then the devil showing up on the Titantron, and then he takes the mask off, and then maybe the lights go out again, and then it's just like Fish and O'Reilly beating up MJF, and then Adam Cole doesn't actually have to show up there. He could just take off the mask on the Titantron, and that's how they reveal it. Because, like you said, he's hurt. I don't even know if he can really walk.
Or you put him in the wheelchair with the neck brace, have him take it off, and it's not Roddy Strong.
Oh, hey, that's good actually. I like it.
And that would tie Roddy back into this because he had his whole conspiracy thing with his chart and saying MJF is the devil and all this stuff. So,
wow.
Yeah, I think we might be somewhere close to what's going to happen. I mean, it's Tony's world and we're just living in it. So
very true. That is how it goes. All right. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. So Noah Foster is our predictions guy. He does the league for our predictions every year, and he's sometimes on the videos. He says Ronda has better fashion than Noah Foster. Now that's actually high praise because Noah Foster is usually the best dressed person on the panel. But hey, you might be giving him a run for his money.
I like it.
You know what? I'm just upset that Renee Paquette wore my jacket without any pants on the last episode of Dynamite.
Oh, she did?
She pretty much wore the same thing.
I must have missed it. I'll have to go back and check that out.
You know what? You can find lots of pictures of it on Up All Night with Ron DeShane, Facebook.com/Up All Night.
All right, well, you jumped ahead a little bit here. I mean, we're wrapping it up. We usually do our I can't even talk right now. Our plugs. I'm so tired. It's 9:30. It's like almost my bedtime at this point.
I got my plugs done 10 years ago, my friend. But
well, I might need to do the same thing.
Do you know a guy?
Yeah.
All right. So Rhonda, once again, go ahead and let everybody know where they can find you. I'll throw up the graphic right here.
Go to Facebook.com and look up All Night with Ron DeShane. It's one of the wildest, goofiest, most absurd wrestling groups you'll find. We got lots of professional wrestlers in there. Rip Rogers, a big fan. We got journalists. We got Greg Oliver. We got Brian Solomon. We got lots and lots and lots of very smart, very intelligent people. And then we also have the other half. And we like to have fun. We like to make jokes. If you like to make humor and jokes about pro wrestling, come join the party. We're actually not up all night. Usually I sleep between midnight and 8, but otherwise it's up all night. Everybody's having a blast.
It was a pleasure to have you on. Hopefully we'll get you back on for some more panels in the future. Walter, let's get your plugs.
Is that a Shawn Michaels reference? The Up All Night.
No, it's actually, remember Up All Night with Ron DeShear that used to be before Monday Night Raw?
She was on Raw in like 97.
Yeah.
Yeah,
she was. Yeah, she was so it's Up All Night with Ron DeShear, Up All Night with Ron DeShane.
Yeah.
How long did that show last? How long did that show last?
Oh my! She actually had it for a long time. She charges $200 for a cameo, or I already have one.
Jeez. I mean, I mostly remember Murder, She Wrote. Like that was the show. That music sticks with me as a kid. I associate that with watching Raw in the 90s.
I feel like it was like 94 to 97. She was promoting it all the time. Like there was definitely one year she was all over WrestleMania 10, I think it was. So 94. I think she was all over WrestleMania 10 and all over Regis Philbin and stuff.
All right, Walter, what do you got for us?
Before I plug myself, I'll plug the open mic night special Sunday for the New Year's Eve. To watch us on that, the Casa de 18 Studios channel, as well as the Jeff Meacham Network, as long as also the watch along, if you want to watch that while they do the watch along during this pay-per-view that we're talking about, the World's End. And then for me personally, my Twitter is at Walter Alex Cruz. The Cow Fire Farm is the Instagram, and Rage of Wrestling is my YouTube channel.
All right. And Matthew said in the chat room he's already joining the group, Ron. So there you go.
Right.
You got at least one new member out of being on the stream tonight.
Now I just got to monetize him, and there we go.
There you go. And you're all set. All right, TJS, what do you got for us?
I'm also going to join that group. It sounds like fun.
Me too. Me too.
You can follow me on X, TYLRJSPHSMTH, Instagram at Tyler Joseph Smith, and of course, check out our good friends at the Jeff Meacham Network. They, what Walter said, they're doing something. Yeah, there it is. There's the graphics. Jeff Meacham Network, Casa D18 Studios, A Simple Man's Brand, Jay Hebert Studios, NoDQ.com, Greg Cherry Brand, Rangers of Wrestling, the Jeff Meacham Network Multiverse of Media on YouTube.
All right, there you have it.
There's one plug I forgot to mention, if you don't mind. Next week, real special, Rip Rogers is actually going to be interviewing me on his podcast, Wrestling with Rip. So I'm really thrilled with that. Rip is, for anyone that doesn't know, he trained all your favorite stars in OVW, John Cena, Randy Orton. He trained pretty much everybody that you enjoyed through the 2000s out in OVW with Jimmy Cornette. And I'm going to be getting the pleasure to speak with him for an hour. So I'm really looking forward to that too. Look for that as well.
All right, sounds good. And of course, stay tuned to NoDQ.com. I'll be doing the live results coverage of World's End, and then I'll be back like midnight, whatever time it is, way past my bedtime to recap the show. Tune in for that. Great panel tonight, everyone. Thank you all so much, and thank you to the chat room for your participation. Have a great weekend, everyone. Enjoy the final weekend of 2023, and we'll be back next time. Say yeah to NoDQ.com. Buy a shirt, NoDQ.com/merch, and we will see you all next time.